This isn't an issue at the top of today's headlines, but if you think like I do, it should be. Of all our national institutions, I regard the Australian War Memorial as the soul of our country. It commemorates the service and sacrifice of all our military personnel, but most solemnly, those 100,000 who died in our country's uniform and whose names are etched on the honour boards flanking the Shrine of Remembrance. As Charles Bean, the memorial's founder and our Great War historian, said of the original Anzacs, their example rises as it will always rise, a monument to great-hearted men and for their nation a possession forever. The memorial doesn't glamorise war. It honours all men and women who put service before self and thereby reflects well on the country they served. And that's why I can't support the statement of the outgoing War Memorial chairman to have the memorial deal extensively with, in the chairman's words, a much broader and much deeper depiction of the so-called frontier wars between British settlers and the original inhabitants of our country. Was there conflict on the fringes of settlement between the redcoats of Britain and Aboriginal Australians? Well, yes, there was. But these conflicts did not involve the armed forces of Australia, and it was certainly not a war prosecuted by this country against another. There was cruelty, yes, there was injustice against Aboriginal people, just as there was also kindness and goodwill and fellowship between the new and old inhabitants. It's part of the greatness and smallness of a national story, again, to use Bean's words. There were crimes, certainly, but never a war. And besides, that's only part of the story of how people of Australia came to be. And the place for this, as our most foremost living historian Geoffrey Blaney has just said, and it can't be a one-sided black armband version either, is in the Australian National Museum, not the War Memorial. The Frontier Wars, it's a narrative, it's just another element in the push to delegitimise our country and to turn Aboriginal people into victims rather than proud and self-respecting First Australians who, as it happened, volunteered in their hundreds to serve their country in the Great War. Now, the fact they did so at a time when Indigenous recruitment was not formally permitted is to their great credit, because they could see what they had was worth defending, as well as seeing obviously what needed changing in the Australia of those days. Two of these early Indigenous soldiers who fought for Australia, Harry Thorpe and William Rawlings, won the military medal for conspicuous courage and leadership. Now, if the War Memorial wants to do more to honour Aboriginal people, this is what the new galleries, made possible by its $500 million expansion, should feature. All the Aboriginal people who are such proud Australians that they've served under the flag of all of us and fought for the values of all of us, especially those who died for the country of all of us in the uniform of all of us. But the last thing we need is yet another institution, especially one like the Memorial, which, as I said, I regard as our nation's soul, promulgating a divisive, distorted, politically correct version of our history and trying to make us ashamed of what we've done and who we are.